All right, Supermoto Racer Mag homies, we're back for another race recap. Today we are looking at 450s from AMA Supermoto Round 1 at Horse Thief Mile in Rosemond, California. We got my boy Simpy Samp with us.
Hey,
Johnny Bang running the boards, doing all the editing, making this stuff happen.
yo.
And we brought a cool racer guest on, someone that I've watched come from being just a young little Grom into quite the racer. Got good old Nicky Reimer.
All right, guys, I'm so scared right now.
Oh, it's not bad.
You've been chilling. Ready to watch some racing?
So with Horseleaf being decently long track for how many corners it was, the elevation changed and it's quite a fast track compared to what we normally run over here in America. The lap times were 120 in the 120s. I squeaked out pole by a 10th on Niggles. And Pecoraro. They have Austin listed as a 123.9. I don't know if he was that close to us in qualifying, Nick, because all his other laps were not that close. But I think we'll give it to him. And Buffum running out the front row. Then we had Bryce Pierce, one of the few road racers that we had. Man up. He's a past Moto America 600 Super Stock champion, I believe. Him and a couple road race buddies of his manned up and raced the Supermoto class with us, which was awesome. Hey, Johnny,
Real quick, what you're seeing. I have audio on mine.
I got audio now.
You just saw me saying to my dad right there before the start was he went to set my whole shot device and my fork guard had come off on the sight lap.
Yeah. Dude, I picked it up on the sight lap. I was like, we're going to run over that in turn one.
Harley almost killed you there, Brian.
Whoa.
Yeah, check it out. Simpy ran off the track, dude.
Dude, that looked hairy.
It was dicey.
Dude, Bryce Prince right there, he came in so hot into turn 2. I was scared. I thought he was tucking the front into me. So I stood up, missed the shift. Austin goes by me, and I'm just like, I blew it. I wanted to tuck in behind Nick. I blew it.
Nicky's looking far ahead. Look at him. Look at that visor.
He checked out.
I was riding this entire lap like I was ready for Butters to throw a wheeling on me in any corner. I was at 100% right here.
When was it that you first realized you had a gap? Was it this corner here or not until the dirt?
No, dude, it was like probably 3 or 4 laps before I even looked over my shoulder to realize.
So you're just that locked in.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Oh yeah, this is the race where I didn't have my transponder on my bike.
Yeah, Simpy's not here. Way to go, Simpy. I gave Austin plenty of room. I threw it in, but I didn't throw it in hard enough to like put him down.
It looks like you pushed him over until you look again and he's still in front of
And
you.
then he got us both right there, dude. Austin had a
That was a
move.
big pass from Austin.
Yeah, dude. He was ripping right now.
Dude, he immediately got on that new KTM and just started riding so well.
Yeah, I feel like there's been a build up with him the last year. I've noticed him really step it up. But this was another level because typically he's behind Buffum and stuff. Not this time.
Yeah.
So
I was stoked for him
23
for sure.
SMR is all that they say.
I rode his bike set up for a 120-pound rider back to back with my 22 bike set up for a 180-pound rider and immediately was very impressed, even with the stability with it being 60-pound slider. It was super stable and really, really a good bike right out of the box.
That road racer almost killed Charlie right there.
Yeah. Just gapped us, bro. Oh, yeah, I think Charlie kills that road racer.
I wish I had footage of him getting him back because I know he does. I don't see where it was. Oh, he's right there in the dirt, I guess.
Yep.
Is that road racer?
Right there.
He must have went down or something.
Yeah, Nick, I wanted to go. I wanted to chase you, bro, but I did myself no favors in the beginning of this moto, getting stuck behind. I mean, Austin was riding good, so I really wasn't stuck behind him, but
He's riding good and defensive. I think, honestly, I noticed it on lap 4 that you two were battling in the dirt, and that I had a little bit of breathing room. And for a few laps there, I could watch both of you guys just like putting wheels in on each other in the dirt, and it was pretty sick to watch from where I was, because I think I was just coming down the hill in the dirt when you guys were going up it.
yeah. And this previous lap that just happened, the first full lap we had through the dirt section, was your fastest lap of the race. So your first lap out was your heater of this moto.
Sick. It's that brand new Dunlop I had on there.
This time around.
Oh, that was.
Oh, dude.
That was nasty.
I did not mean for it to get that close. I thought I was dead. I thought I had no room. I ran out. I was just kind of trying to get an idea of how much momentum I could carry into the corner compared to him. And I thought I just ruined myself. Was able to get in there. For you, Nick, going up this hill, this chicane was tricky. How did you kind of try to approach it? Like late apex? That's kind of what I was doing.
I would late apex it in, stay as far right as I could, and just try to straighten out the exit as much as possible. The only sketchy thing with that, though, is there's a ton of gravel on the right side of the chicane, because I was really the only one using that line. So sometimes if I'd go a little bit too far right, I'd push my tires in the gravel a little bit. So I was trying to find a happy medium between like the line that I wanted to take and like the actual rideable line with grip.
Yeah, one thing I was going to ask you about with that corner was, I noticed you coming out of the dirt section, you were running that berm out on so you could really sweep some momentum onto the asphalt. And I liked that line, but I felt going into the first asphalt corner up that hill, I really had to be cautious with how I turned in with dirt still being on my tire. And then the next one, you got dirt on your tire no matter what, so that one was slick. But so I would just shoot out, lean over on the asphalt, and get the tire cleaned off as much as possible, and then I could charge that first asphalt corner. So you were obviously still ripping, and you were hitting this corner in a way that didn't clean your tire off as much.
To be completely honest, I did not think about that when I was riding. I just went into turn one. I just went into turn one full on the brakes. For the best every lap. I
like it. Were you getting power wheelies there? I was power wheeling there every lap. It felt so cool.
Yeah, I was trying not to, but they were coming up for sure. I had to hang it out a little bit.
Yeah. There's nothing that puts a smile on your face like riding 450 like that.
I ran a little bit of a stiffer setup at this track. It worked really well on the asphalt, and it was a little bit too loose in the dirt. So I felt like you were catching me a lot, specifically in the dirt, because kind of in the slower, hard pack corners where the bike's sliding around a bit, I couldn't get so much stability in mine through the shock. But then once I got back onto the asphalt, it would just like eat up any inconsistencies with dirty tires or a dirty part of the track or anything like that.
How was that bump coming down this last hill that we just went by? Because if I hit that line wrong, I was a little wide, that bump upset my bike a lot. So like, what were you talking about? Were you like feeling pretty confident and pretty smooth wherever you were on the track?
On this SMR, yeah. When I rode practice the week before on my old bike, my 22 would really have a hard time chattering through all those bumps, but I think something with that race tech shock, the bladder in it or something like that, really just like ate up all the bumps and made it so smooth through everything. So every single bump on the track was a problem for me on the 22, and on the 23 it really ate up a ton of it.
And then Simpy, this was your first time on the 450 all weekend. You didn't take it out for a single practice the day before, single practice race day. So this was your first time being on the 450 for the weekend. What was that adjustment like? Different braking points,
I was
everything.
scared. I was scared for my life. Not only was that the first time on the 450, but like you saw the first corner, I got pushed out into the dirt. So I'm just like scared shitless. It's just fast. But yeah, it was definitely weird getting used to the different braking bumps and having to adjust to it so quickly. But I don't know, I just kind of settled into a pace, and I wasn't really trying to push hard. I wasn't really battling with anybody towards the end of the moto, especially. So I just kind of settled into a pace that was safe.
Nick, I think I made up any time I ever had on anyone on this track. I think I made it up in this first dirt corner.
I was gonna say you look noticeably faster in that corner than me. My dad told me that I looked like a pussy going into that dirt corner compared to you. He's like, you need to be way later on the brakes. Okay.
You gotta love Gordy. At least he's gonna give it to you straight, you know?
You kept it real. I just know me and my tendencies. If I start going deeper and deeper into that dirt corner, I'm 100% pushing the front.
That's why I thought I was doing that lap with Austin. I was like, I overshot this, I overcooked it. I'm in some hot water right now. I gotta let off the brake because I'm hitting the dirt, and Austin's gonna slide up in this. I'm gonna have nowhere to go. I'm going down, and we somehow managed to work it out.
It is cool watching the race from this angle and seeing our different lines and kind of where we do different things around the track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really wish I could have watched you. There you go, check your flag. Your first ever 450 win.
I was so stoked.
I know, I'm seeing a checker flag. I called it too early, bro. So when I rode that track days race the week before, or it wasn't a race, it was a track days practice day, and that was the same series that was in conjunction with us on race day, though, wasn't it?
It was a different one actually.
Oh, really?
But I got to follow behind some like guys on 600s, and some of them weren't the fastest guys in the world, but they definitely rode like road race only lines. And so it's cool to watch the track being rode like from a different style of bike and kind of piece together what worked for them and what I could make work on the 450.
Yeah, I think I hopped in behind Rodriguez and Hodges on one of the practice sessions on Friday when we rode, and they checked up after a lap and were like, "Yo, don't let him follow us." I did call it right. I just shredded the dirt section. I thought I was still going for a lap or something, dude. Yeah. National win.
That was so stoked. Oh, these are sick.
Dude, talk about that a little bit. Real quick, like just how much you guys were rushing to get that bike together. I don't think a lot of people know the effort that you guys went into to make that happen.
So, getting the bikes was really tough to begin with. So this year I'm on Team Magnum. Magnum's a new dealership owned by the Pecoraro family out of LA, and they wanted me to race KTMs. And they were super supportive of what I wanted to do this year, traveling, and so they, I'm always happy to ride with them. So it was a really good opportunity for me to keep going with them. The only thing was with the new dealership opening up, it was really hard for them to get bikes in time for the race. So the bike came in, I got it, I think 1 week before the race. When I got it, my mechanic, Kevin, who's over at Magnum, he pulled the engine out, had the thing all ready to go for me so I could take the head over to Race Tech and get that engine built. Long story short, I was supposed to have a bunch of parts coming from Europe, suspension settings, and some fork lugs, swing arms, all that sort of stuff, and nothing was ready in time. So the whole week was It was crazy trying to get it all done. So Race Tech built me a shock in like 2 days before the race, and then going into it, I didn't have a clutch, and I didn't know if that shock was going to be ready. So I borrowed a set of suspension from McLean actually, and a clutch. And so my dad drove up to
No way.
Bakersfield, pulled apart McLean's bike. We took the fork and shock off. We pulled his clutch out and just like robbed extra front wheels and like
clutch parts for those 23s are definitely rare right now.
yeah, they're hard to get. And so the whole week was just it was crazy trying to get it all put together. And so my first time riding that bike actually was our last practice session on what was it, Friday practice before the Saturday race. I did one session. My clutch wasn't working right. And then so I only rode a few minutes on Friday. So then Saturday morning, actually missed morning practice and went out straight for qualifying after working out a clutch issue. We're missing a little spacer in there. I have no idea how McLean was able to ride that bike without that spacer, but he seemed to figure out a way to work around it. But yeah, so actually pulling up to the grid each lap, I would have like only 20% clutch pull on that thing. And then once the clutch got hot a couple laps in, it would like get its firmness back. So I had like one launch on that clutch to begin with. So it was pretty crazy, but the bike came together really well. I mean, it was a good setup. We didn't have a lot of time to make changes on it before the race. But with all things being said, I mean, Magnum busted their ass getting that thing to me. My dad busted his ass putting it together, and it worked out well. I'm super thankful to be on that program, and yeah, it's all working out well so far.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, but it was pretty hairy though. I mean, minutes before the race,
and then the fork leg.
Yeah, it ripped actually through the.
Yeah, you did like
bolt.
a practice launch and then it like ripped off on the first leg
Yeah.
or whatever.
I remember going up the hill, I like felt something hit my leg and I like looked down. I'm like, that's kind of weird. And I just like looked at my front wheel. I'm like, all right, everything looks secure down there. We're good. And then pulling up to the grid, yet no fork guard on our bike. So that was crazy.
I didn't even notice when we rolled up to the gate. Like I didn't key into that at all. But I had picked it up because I went out for the warm up lap, going to turn one, and what was that? And I'm looking, no corner workers were close enough to like get to that or see it. So I was like, that'd be a bad thing to like go tuck my front on. So I circled back, threw it off the side of the track. Hopefully found it.
Yeah, we ended up getting it back, but that thing was completely ripped out through the bottoms. Fortunately, I had one extra one from another set of forks. But we brought like most of the fork guards for the newer style fork legs because I was planning on using McLean's forks. So it was it was one of those. We were lucky that we had it, but we had it on for the second moto. Which, dude, that fork guard ended up breaking too in the second moto.
Yeah,
it was a bad luck with right fork guards. All my photos ended up looking super goony because I either had no fork guard or hanging halfway off with 2 bolts in. But whatever works, right?
Yeah.
How hard would you say it is to adapt from riding that KTM over to the TM?
Oh, it's crazy getting used to the TMs. I mean, when I came here last year, it was the biggest adjustment because I was really closed off in the setups that I rode. I rode a Dunlop 16.5-inch front. I rode, steel frame Austrian bikes. Like I only ever rode what I liked. I didn't even ride like the best suspension setups because I would ride what I thought was the most comfortable. So, I mean, as Butters knows, sometimes I'd run my setup pretty soft and just have like a ton of feel coming out of the thing.
Oh, yeah. I feel like me and Dusty always kind of thought you were out there on your setups.
Yeah, for sure. And then getting on the TM, it's a bike with factory suspension, a factory engine, has a custom frame and everything like that. So the bike has an insane amount of traction, which I wasn't used to. So every time I felt like I was at like a pushing speed, the bike has so much more to offer. And then riding this bike that's really like short and tall and rigid was tough to learn. And also then the spec tire last year was the Michelin platform, and so we had to run the 16-inch front, And that was really weird too, because I was riding a really rigid bike with a really flexy front tire. And it was a big learning curve. I'd say all in all, it probably took me like 4 weeks of riding this thing to like be comfortable to like push hard, because the bike doesn't want to back it in. It doesn't want you to sit on top of it. You know, you got to ride it elbow down. You got to ride it over the front. Like everything's completely different with the bike. Going back and forth now is okay, but I'd say the hardest part is that you know, the aggression that I can
learning you
push.
and the bike.
Yeah, but coming back over here is like, if you can push your bikes in the US to 100%, or what feels like 100%, that's only like 80% of the TM's capabilities over here, because the bike has so much more traction and the tracks have so much more grip. So it's like I'm on the track feeling like I'm riding at 100%, and then there's guys just like pulling me out of corners because you can get on the throttle more. So
Wow.
it's pretty
That sounds
wild.
pretty unreal, man.
I think that's my my biggest flaw coming over here, is because I always feel like I'm ripping, and then there's some like kid that's just like out cornering me. I'm like, oh shit, okay, I got to step it up. And yeah, no, it's crazy for sure. The riding over here is way different, and the tracks are just grippy. There's no imperfections in the asphalt. You know, every inch of that track is cleaned off and like good to ride. So that's a big
So is
thing
it
to
like,
get used to.
is it like Miller? What's the closest asphalt you'd equate it to over here? Because like Miller's really the only good asphalt I feel like I've ridden.
Miller was really grippy, I believe. It's been a few years since I went to Miller, but I think the overall flow of the track, you know, you got long double apexes and long corners where you're on the peg. I think it would be pretty close to Miller. The flow maybe is more comparable to like Shawano, you know, just a higher pace, just longer corners and stuff like that through that midsection. Yeah, they do a really cool job of all the tracks. Even the tight ones just have like a nice high pace flow to them. Like you're never in the bottom of second gear, just like straight driving off of a corner. It's always fast. You're always leaned over the front. Also, the riding style here, in a GP, there's probably 5 guys every moto that tuck the front. Like in the US, I feel like we sit on the middle of the bikes and like we back it in and push the rear tire around a lot. And in Europe, everything is pushing the front tire. It's like road racing. It's pretty crazy.
That's nuts. Yeah, I mean, it makes me jealous. I'm so pumped that you're doing that, because that is just so rad to be able to go over and experience that level of the sport, you know, because there's really no other pinnacle to it right now.
Right. It's humbling for sure, because, you know, we come from our group of guys in the US, and I feel like I'm one of the fast guys here. And so coming over here and battling for top 20s is insane. That just the depth of the field here is so deep. It's super cool to see for the sport, though. I mean, there's factory teams. The paddocks looks like a supercross pit, you know, smaller rigs, but you know, there's multiple manufacturers that have skin in the game out here. So it's really cool to see the drive for everyone to keep competing. The tracks are constantly getting better, you know, even like Busca with the Sky section there, they're adding more parts into it the next couple of years. So everyone here is down to develop more and more stuff to grow the sport, and it's really refreshing to see.
That's rad. Yeah, like I'd love to ride an asphalt section. I'm sure there'd be its own learning curves to it, but once you figure it out and know what not to push too hard on, I'm sure it's a blast.
Yeah, definitely. One of the biggest things was at Castelletto. It's more of a flowy asphalt section through there. And so I was riding it like it was motocross with pavement grip, and it was all wrong, because you got to ride it like it's Supermoto with bumps in front of you.
Yeah.
So every corner, you're still pushing the front. Like you land a jump, you push the front through the right before you get back on the throttle. It's like, it's the same thing that you're doing on the regular part of the Supermoto track. You just got a couple of scrubs and whips in between. Whereas Busca, with those really tight berms, that was like motocross. That was pretty cool, because in the wet, we had a full rain race at Busca, and a lot of the guys lacked confidence in the berm, it looked like. But dude, and the concrete jump faces still had full grip. The berm still had full grip. Like maybe on some of the braking zones, you had to ease up a little bit, but you could still fully lay into the berms on the rain tires. It was pretty cool. We ended up not running the big berm though, They have like a shortened corner, so you don't use that big berm because you come into that thing at like 50 mile an hour,
Yeah, I
and they
can
did
see that
not.
might be dangerous in the rain. Yeah.
Yeah. No push in the front because dude, that thing would just turn into a launch
Oh
ramp
my
if you
God, dude.
went down through there.
That'd be brutal.
That was pretty crazy. There's one of the road race guys out there, Giovanni Busse. He was, I think he raced AMA Pro Superbike or World Superbike back in the day. I know my dad had told me stories of watching him here racing in America, but I watched him going through that big, like parabolic asphalt berm. He was dragging knee through there, upside down, dragging knee through the big berm. This guy's insane.
Dude, just the G forces it would take to keep your body over there. That seems hard.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. These guys are they're willing to die for every 10th of a second on these tracks. It is no joke.
So like when you G out, when you hit like the inside of that corner and you're G'd out, do you just like stick to the bike and like if you're not positioned correctly,
Instagram so we can.
if you're not like positioned correctly, do you just like stick wherever you were and you got to stick with it?
Like through the big berm, you can actually turn the thing in really well. You can, while you're going through it, I mean, when you're on it at 100% throttle, you are pretty locked in because you go through it so fast. The fast line is to be right at the bottom of it and have your handlebar like 6 inches off the ground. So there's not much up and down going on. But I think, yeah, when you go through it, you can definitely turn the bike if you want to. You can cut down, you can go up, and you can do a lot of the stuff that you want to. You have a lot of control over where you're putting the tires when you're in there.
Dude, the lean angle you guys can hit in those berms is just sick.
It has, because especially, I mean, you're on slicks on a concrete berm under load. You have like 3,000% grip. It's just, you can pull the bike over as hard as you want to. Like, see if, I think Sherry posted a photo of him going through that first berm, and he has his handlebars just a couple inches off the ground.
Yeah.
That first berm was really deceiving, though. Look slow, pull off, that's fine. That first berm. That first berm was deceiving because it was like a gentle entry into such a tight exit. So it was like riding a rut almost, where when you come out, it's all like beat up and it just wanted to kick your bike straight up. It was definitely the most unique feeling corner I've ever rode on a Supermoto. Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, brother. Johnny, you got second motos ready for us?
They're up.
All right.
Do I got to press anything? Are we going right in?
If you can see Johnny's screen, then you don't have to press anything. If you can't see it, then probably got to do some pressing.
Damn it, I'm on butter screen.
Damn.
Oh, here we go. All right.
So we had lost a guy from the first moto, and we gained a guy this one. Christian Payne sat out the first moto. I think he was focused on the 250. Didn't want to blow himself out too bad. And Ben Hodges did not line up for this one. I'm not sure the reason why.
Now I'm here, fully fired up, 2 fork guards.
Yeah, what was going on here?
He couldn't get the
I
light.
don't know, but I saw.
Look,
I saw my dad plugging in the lights.
I'm just trying to figure out how to launch a 450.
I lined up so sideways.
Dude, what about pole being on the outside? That's kind of some bull. Mickey's like, I want another lap, dude. My Dunlops are getting cold. Are we going anywhere? Dude, I butchered that start. Dude, Simpy ran off again.
Simpy in the dirt again.
Yeah,
it was a rough start, both motos.
I think you're just trying to add some track out there.
Yep, here again. Got myself into 4th place off the start. It's like watching Nick just pull away. I'm like, bye, Nick.
Wow.
Dude, you're pretty much gone already. We all back here trying. It's not working well for us. Good to see Johnny Knowles back in the race. It's been a couple years.
Yeah. I didn't recognize him at first, and then I think came around a lap, and then I saw the Knowles on his back. I'm like, oh, Johnny Knowles!
I almost murdered Bryce right here. I kept it clean all week, and I was trying not to be too much of an animal. Simpy, how are you feeling as far as like that transition from dirt to asphalt and that chicane? Because I really feel like that chicane was one of the trickiest corners on this track.
Yeah, I definitely had issues with line selection through that, just between both 250s and 450s, but I don't think I had figured it out yet. I'm pretty sure I only got it in the second lights one. Or no, this was after.
What about you, Nick? What corner do you feel like you kind of struggle with all weekend to get consistently?
That chicane actually was really tough for me too. Sometimes I'd go in there and I'm just like, I am not going fast through here right now. So it's kind of nice to hear that you guys were having a hard time with it too, because I was kind of beating myself up with that. That and also the entry to the dirt was kind of deceiving, because that that gravel gets away from you pretty quick.
Oh, for sure.
I was riding a little bit cautious in there, but definitely had some time to save if I needed to turn it up right there.
Yep.
That was my only saving grace in the lights class, was just the entry to the dirt. Everywhere else, I feel like I just kind of was even with them.
The other one I felt was really difficult was not this first uphill that I'm coming into now, but the next uphill. That one, that kind of flat sweeping 180, that one was really difficult for me.
Yeah, that one, it was easy to get to the apex.
Yeah, the one you're coming up to, right now.
Let's see if I go wide into here, but if I ride super wide coming in, it lets you square it up nice on the exit. And I would take this thing all the way out on the rumbles, all the way on the outside of that track. The track, I mean, it's weird compared to what we're used to riding. It's so open. Like, if you have someone on you, it'd be hard to ride like a normal line because you leave the door so open in every corner.
I feel like it'd really be a hard track to pass on the asphalt.
Yeah. But that dirt section's so slow and has so much slop in it, it made for a good pass in there when you needed to.
Yep. Buffum was going at it with Bryce this moto, and then got Simpy passing Rodriguez here.
Yeah, Sam.
Simpy, which one do you feel like? Because like I feel like from my experience when I was running double duty, the 450 requires so much throttle control on the dirt compared to the 250F. Did you kind of find that, or were you? Because like sometimes the 250Fs, they can be pretty like so rev happy that it's hard to keep them under control.
I don't know. It's tough to say. I was just pushing harder on the 250, so I was just getting sketchier because of that. But I almost just left it in a gear high on the 450, and I was just kind of able to kind of tractor through a little more. But on the 250, I was revved out and just going after it. So I felt, I don't know, it was just different though, because the 250 handles so good too.
Yeah.
So it's probably like sketchier on the 250, but it felt better. And it probably didn't help that I didn't practice at all on the 450.
What was the lap time difference again, Letters?
On on this moto, and on this moto, Simpy was actually 0.2 of a second slower than the fastest he did on his 250F. So he was really close in times, but 0.2 slower on the 450. Which, I mean, on this track, it's kind of like, what are you doing, guy?
Yeah.
That was always something that was really hard for me too, getting on the 450 from the 250, because I was so comfortable on the 250. It was hard to let the bike kind of tractor. I always wanted to scream the thing out, and I'd always tend to override it. But I still love 250s. I think we should all drop back down and just have a brawl on 250Fs again.
The monster lights class.
We do need to do it. Like, the lights class is hurting for guys this year. I think we should. I mean, the top 3 guys are super solid, but we need to add some more depth in that. And then
let's just stack the lights class.
The last lap before this one, lap 4, was my fastest lap of the race. And stuff that I did, which was a full second slower than you, Nick.
Oh, well.
And I don't know if it was right there or if it was next lap, but one of these laps I lose my fork. I lose my fork with all the valving in it. I think
that was crazy. Because I could, coming out of the corner at the top of the hill, I could check and see where you were, and typically you would be just coming out of this chicane when I was at the top of the hill, and then all of a sudden one lap you like started dropping back, and it didn't look like you got tired out. It looked like you had a bike problem.
Yeah.
So seeing your fork completely gone like that when we came off the track was insane.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. When I heard a gnarly clunk in the fork in the dirt section, and I wasn't sure exactly what I had heard. And the next lap I tried to keep pushing, and I was just blowing all the corners. Just not blowing them, but like missing my line. And I was just getting aggravated with myself. Focus. Come on, hit your marks. And I was trying, and I did a 123.5, which with it being like that, was pretty good, but it was pretty good. And then after that, it was just every lap through the dirt, I was like, that's not right. And I'm looking at the bike, and it's just not wanting the corner, and it was kind of scary.
You hear that?
Dude, I'm just happy you didn't go down on it.
Me too. Yeah, so I guess I'm kind of grateful. Yeah, you could kind of hear it like coming down that hill on the audio. Alright, next lap we'll be quiet, see if we can hear it. But yeah, it wasn't a failure on Race Tech's end. It looked like the cartridge came apart on the valving side, and where it came apart is something that would have kind of been destined to fail from WP, like originally.
Yeah.
Race Tech wouldn't have had it apart when I've had them serviced. It wouldn't have come apart there, and it just failed. Race Tech was shocked when they saw it. My guy, when he pulled it apart, said he'd never seen a fork fail like that. So it was just like, not lucky's not the right word for it, but just one of those races.
One of those days.
But yeah, you started with just about a 5-second gap, dude, and then I wasn't able to give you a run. By the end of this moto, you were up 15 plus seconds on us. We'll see if we can hear it.
Let's see if we can hear it.
Yo.
Wow.
Something's wrong.
Jeff just waves at you.
This one, like, I saw the white flag outside, I was just like, oh, all right, something is coming apart on this thing, or something has come apart on this thing.
How was the gap between you and Austin at this point? Were you stressing, or did you have a little bit of breathing room?
Shows 7 seconds last time they passed the finish line.
Yeah, it was definitely getting closer, and I think this last one, I did like a 1:31 lap time this last lap, so he gained like 8 seconds or so on me. 7 seconds
Wow.
off. Yeah, by the last few corners, I was kind of like, all right, I think I got it. But at first, I was just like, all right, just carry my momentum. Like we were talking about, just like don't ask anything of the chassis. I wasn't going heavy on my front brakes.
Yeah, coming down that hill, you probably were a little bit
Oh,
nervous.
dude, yeah, like I was
Okay.
just cruising. Nick, perfect day, 1-1, unchallenged, lead every lap. We're back here floundering. Yeah, I still had a nice couple of seconds on Austin, so it didn't get too stressful. I couldn't not pull wheelies with my
Something's
front.
going on in my forks. It's like, I don't know, something came apart. It's like clunk, 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 and then it's like just chatter on the asphalt. Like,
Good race, dude.
It's like, Sean, I want to talk about my win right now, dude.
You're like, whatever excuses, dude. Shut up. I just kicked your ass. Nicky Rima. Yeah, dude, you definitely like hit your stride this last year since you went over to Europe for the first time last year. Came back over, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but last year was your first time being on the podium in the 450 class, no?
I had one podium in Texas in 2018.
Oh, was it Texas?
But this was my first time consistently running towards the podium, yeah. And Texas was a mostly dirt track, so this is my first year running podiums on like asphalt tracks. So it was a pretty pivotal year for me. I gotta give a huge credit to my trainer Alberto. I mean, you guys know Maserati. He really knows what he's doing when it comes to figuring out what I'm doing wrong on the bike and how to correct what I've been doing. So it's a huge thanks to him, because seriously, I was making a ton of mistakes when I was riding. So it helped me figure out my pace a lot and my racecraft, and I'm not making as many bonehead mistakes anymore.
Yeah, I like the name.
Trying not to, at least.
For the team over there.
Yeah, PMA.
Yeah. What does PMA stand for?
It's actually the initials of the 3 owners, and it worked for them because they also cued it into like positive mind and attitude, which is what they promote a lot of at the school.
Yep.
And yeah, but it's cool. They got like 6 or 7 riders that go to the track with them every day, and they're all training to do the same thing. It's a super cool environment for them all.
something's wrong in my front end.
Something's wrong.
I want to note that Sam did not have tire warmers for the 450 going into this. He came over and borrowed a set from me. He was literally one warmers for 2 bikes and not set up to go do that well on a 450. So I was sick to see him out there.
Yeah, I appreciate the warmers, man.
No worries.
I was planning on just using the 250, which actually, in hindsight, probably would have been better.
It would have been 210s better.
That's just retarded, I feel like. How does that happen?
Dude, well, that happened. What other track? I raced double duty. Was it Tucson? Maybe? This last year, I did double duty, and I was faster on the 250 there, too.
Buff Daddy's being like, yeah, Son ain't right there either. But another, Buffum, he went faster on his 450 on the last lap of this last 450 moto. So both you and Buffy did your fastest 450 times end of the second moto. And that was kind of odd for Buffum when I looked at the stats throughout all the races. He came out and he laid down his fastest laps beginning in moto every time. Pretty much first full lap, that second lap on the track was his fastest lap for the first 3 motos. Then the last moto on the 450, he got down to the 124s on the 450, where he had done, it showed the fastest on Alex's stuff as a 126.2 for Charlie on the 250F, but he said that his lap timer showed he'd done like a 125.9. So either way, but he went like a full second faster on his 450, so I thought that was kind of cool.
I feel like a big issue I was having too is because the 450 has suspension work on it and the 250 is still stock. So I feel like that was kind of a big thing too. is I don't really have a great sense of how hard I can push the 450 yet, just because I have so much seat time on the 250 and I'm used to the stock suspension. That going to a fully built Supermoto setup is just kind of weird.
Well, there's a video of my front forks bouncing. Nuts.
That's so insane.
How was it having Bronson with you, Nick, and stuff? Did he pick it up pretty quick? It seemed like he did.
He picked it up pretty good, but it's just so much of a change. I think he's doing really well, and he's really liking that TM. He said that it wasn't so hard to pick up on the TM coming from the aluminum frame Honda. Also, this year, the tires went back to 16.5-inch Metzlers on the front. I think we got to run a K2 front and a K1 rear.
Awesome.
And so he didn't have to learn a tire while he was at it too. So he picked it up pretty quick. He was doing super good, but I think he needed a little bit more seat time before he raced a GP, just because, I mean, shit happens quick on those bikes, especially it was a rain race. And so it was super hairy out there. And no, he picked it up pretty good. It's really nice having him here because we can train together. We push each other every day. And now it's super nice to have him out here.
I mean, he out qualified. I was.
He did out qualify me. Yeah, my lap times going through practice and everything were about a second faster than him going into all this. But yeah, he killed it in qualifying.
I vaguely remember seeing you make a post about it raining and you staying on slicks too long.
No, I think he made the right decision for the slick.
Yeah, we had an LCQ, and when we were on the grid, it was raining. I had a set of wets ready to go, but our thought process behind it was so top 20 went right to the final. 21 through, I think it's like 35 were in the LCQ. And then only the bottom they only took the top 32 to the final. So it was just the last couple of guys in the LCQ that didn't make it in. So I was like, I'm pretty confident that I could not be last on slicks. And so I decided to stay out there on slicks. The first couple laps was like full wet track. And there was a crash in turn 1. And I ended up in the lead after it. I think 3 guys went down. And then I led for the first couple of laps. And then I just see Moz on the side of the track telling me, calm down, calm down, calm down. So then 2 guys got by me. And I'm like, how are these guys pulling me so hard? And I realized they're on full wets. I'm like, okay, I can't keep up with them. I got to just breathe a little bit. And so I was running third for a while. And then probably 6 or 7 laps into it, because I think it was a 12-lap final or a 12-lap LCQ. They started to fall off the pace a little bit when the dry line was forming. And then, it was one dry line on a wet track. So if you got anywhere off that dry line, you were screwed. But I ended up running like 5 seconds a lot faster than the guys on wets at the end of the race. So it was a good call staying on the slicks. If I didn't win the LCQ, I wouldn't have been pressed because it was just for qualifying position. But it was super cool to come out on top of that. And that's my first win in the GP, but not really a final. But it was cool to cross the finish line first. It was a nice.
Oh, it always feels good. Yeah, dude. Like I'm looking at the lap time breakdown right now from you, and in the LCQ, you guys start out doing 133s, and by the end, your fastest lap is your last lap at a 122.4, and you're like getting back within a couple seconds of your like full on dry time.
Right. It was pretty close, and so I turned off the pace a little bit on the Supermoto stuff just because I didn't want to make a dumb mistake tucking the front in a wet corner. But going through the sky sections where I'd save most of my time. If you look at the the sections, or not the sections, the sectors, I was typically faster than the other guys in the first sector because I could turn it up harder in the sky section and then count on the berms to hold traction. And then they would kind of pull me in the flat parts of the track.
You were fastest in sector 1, third in the next 2 sectors, or the next sector.
So just riding the speed where I could and just trying to ride as smart as possible. But yeah, I'm happy I went out on slicks. It was a really good call from Moz because knowing me, I probably would have picked to go out on wets and smoked the whole set on a dry line, and
How many
yeah,
other guys?
blown the whole thing.
How many other guys would you say stayed on slicks?
A majority of the field, well, there are 13 guys in the LCQ. I'd say probably 5 of them were on wets, and then I guess that would make 8 of them on slicks. Bronson was on slicks too. So what's this? This is our Moto 1 qualifying. Our Moto 1 finish.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a hectic race. Total
Yeah, it's
time
cool
19 minutes.
it's definitely cool to see you guys' names mixed in with a bunch of these like gnarly dudes.
Yeah.
And stuff. And then I
Um,
mean, well, even we got like how do
Mitya
you say? Yeah, how do you say his last name? Krasniki?
Krasniki.
Yeah, because he came over and
He
raced our
is,
final AMA Supermoto in Tucson last year, and he was on
yeah.
just a stock FS that was a struggle bus for him, but you could tell he was a really good rider.
He's turned it up a lot this offseason because I raced with him in Matet, and actually I raced with him all the races last year. I did France, Matet, and Castelletto with him, and he's a really quick rider and really good racecraft too. He's aggressive with passing, and I learned a lot riding behind him in some parts of the track. Yeah, he's a super fast kid. But this year coming into it, he's on the L30 TM factory team, and just seems like he's really got it figured out this year because he was running a few seconds faster than me going into the race weekend. So I was playing catch up with him the whole time.
That's nuts. Dude, it has to be crazy to see the like I don't know, just the difference over there of like how gnarly it is.
The depth is crazy too because I mean, looking at that list, a lot of the names we don't really recognize being Americans and not following all of the the country series over here. But everyone on that roster right there, I mean, they're a winner or a top 3 in their local championships back home.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, these corners in the wet had huge puddles on the inside. So every time it was a gamble if you got to go through the puddle or go around it and have a little bit more traction.
It's cool to see like some of the longevity over there because like you're saying there's a lot of names that we don't know, but there is a lot like Eli. I've followed him for years, and stuff. And
Yeah.
to see him still doing it and still being like so far up front,
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. Like, well,
No,
like,
he's super.
I
He's
feel like
super
he's come
fast.
through with like Mark Rainer Schmidt and that generation. I feel like Herman and when he was dominating, these guys were like just kind of hitting their stride.
Right. That's a big thing too, because like in AMA Supermoto, we've had guys on 250s for a long time, and then you have to make a jump to the 450. So I think a lot of these guys were getting into S1 or they're running the S2 Cup on 450s though, like the same time that you and I, Sean, were on 250s. So the hardest thing to compete with is the guys that have been racing these bikes on these tracks for such a long time. Because it's a big learning curve for us going over there, and they have so much.
Yeah,
just
they got
like
bike settings. They have that track knowledge. They got their lines down.
I'm not taking anything away from them. They are fast, and but it's crazy though. Like watching back, because I had to educate myself a little bit on like who's the vets in the sport. Like looking back to like even Nations 2014, like Schmidt's still out there. I think San Martin was out there. Like there's all these OGs that have been racing the series forever. It's pretty cool to see like how long you can make a career out of it over there and just like running up front. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah. It'd be really cool to get more American guys over there and kind of have a little bit better platform for going back and forth. But what Moz has right now is he's got a good housing situation for guys that want to go over there and take a swing at all this, and makes it really easy. I mean, not staying in an Airbnb and having to buy a van and everything like that. It's a pretty cool deal.
Yeah. No, that's rad. I'd love to try to make it happen someday. But
You should.
If it's definitely cool to see you chase it.
Yeah. Go back to that photo at the start.
Yes, sir.
I lined up completely sideways.
You're like pointing slightly different than the rest of us.
If if I was like, if you're gonna put pole on the outside of the track, I'm at least gonna have the trajectory that I want.
Dude, I was so stoked I had pole because I was like, I'm gonna shoot up the inside of that corner, like, and then I'm like, I'm on the outside. What? First lap. I love that shot.
That is sick.
What's it like leaning your bike over up the faces of those tables or those doubles?
It is odd because the bike slides completely different. If you want to scrub it, you have to do a lot of turning up the face.
Yeah, like a
Because
big
on a
R
motocross bike, because on motocross and I mean Supermoto too with slicks on, like to get your bike sideways, you kind of just got to lean it over and the tires will start to push. But you really have to do a big turn going up it. But it is cool though because you can use a lot more of the track. Like you can turn going off the face, and like if you're not scrubbing your bike, you can like go side to side without having to worry about ruts or bumps or anything like that. A big thing though that was a lot faster here was whips and scrubs don't really make sense on these jumps because they are concrete and you do have to turn so hard to make it happen. But just you could lay into the front forks like as hard as you want to going up these things because you also yeah. And that was the fastest way to get through everything. Is everything was just you're pushing through it, and yeah. Also through the double coming out, the little wave section, you could seat bounce through the berm up the face of the jump because there's no ruts, there's no spin. You load the suspension however you want to, and it was pretty cool. It was completely different.
So now that you've gone over there and you kind of switched to leathers, where you kind of fall, you've been moto gear for years. Now you're wearing leathers. What's your stance now?
Man, I am 100% leathers guy, which is crazy
Really?
because Moto Gear was such the way to go for me for a long time.
Yep.
I always thought it was more flexible and easier to ride in, but this year I started making my own leathers, and I have so much comfortability. You know, I make them a little bit looser, and so you got some more flex. They're all cut for Supermoto, so they sit you upright, and I don't feel like I ever sacrifice
Are you
anything
still
when I'm
able to
wearing.
fit your knee braces and stuff?
Yeah, I have my knee braces underneath it. I got a big back brace underneath it, so it has all the same padding that I wear when I ride motocross gear. Because that was a huge thing for me because I dab my foot too much, and I do not like twisting my knees. So I got my Asters underneath there, and yeah, they're super comfortable. But I had a big what was it, a third, fourth gear crash in Tucson last year, and I slid forever.
Yep.
And if I was wearing motocross gear, I would still be torn up. But dude, the only injury that I got from that was a little scratch on my knuckle just from hitting the ground, and then I had a burn on my back because I slid for so long. The leathers got hot, and I didn't roll over to another side. It was just a little burn, and but no bloodshed, so that was crazy because that could have been a world of hurt for me getting up off of that crash if I was in moto gear. So honestly, I feel like the confidence leaning in some of these faster corners, especially at Horse Thief, it lets you push the front a lot harder and kind of just have the confidence that if you go down, it's just going to be a slide. And yeah, I had a fifth gear crash in Busca last week actually, and just got up, straightened up the lever on the bike, and kept going. Like it's cool wearing them. I'm a big fan. I'm glad that going over to Europe has got me wearing them now because I think it's a lot safer.
Well, like you said, going over to Europe's got you a lot of stuff. It's helped you be aware of all those things you kind of didn't really think about over here. You just don't know what you don't know. But whether it's riding technique and how you're riding the bike and what you're asking of it and how you go about that and stuff. Certain guys like Gage over here, he was always he just made it just look like it was just so natural and so easy and stuff that you just he doesn't even have to try. But there is a definite, and you're smart. You're one of those few riders that can hop behind someone and pick up what someone else is doing.
Well, thank you. And there's a lot of that going on here because there's a lot of guys that know a lot more than me out here. So every time I'm on the track, I'm just trying to soak up as much as I can.
And do you feel
A
like
huge
that's true
thing.
for you, or do you feel like it's like you're really just trying to, you're working at it, or do you feel like you can kind of hop behind someone and go, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. You just like grab onto them and you just do it.
Um, I definitely, when I get behind people, I try to learn as much as I can.
Mhm.
But I remember you pointing that out to me a few years ago that I could like hop behind someone and figure it out. And since then, I've kind of like noticed it a little bit more, but I don't think it ever like comes easy where if I just see something, I'm like, oh, makes sense. But if I see something, I'm always down to try it.
Yeah.
So I like to be open minded with lines, especially if it's someone faster than me in front of me. And if I try it and it doesn't work, then I know that what I'm doing is right. But yeah, I always like to give it a go. And I don't think I ever have a problem. Like if I see someone hitting a line, I don't think it's too hard to figure out how to do it. It's just the hardest thing is discovering how to hit that line at speed, pushing your tires with your body positioning and all that sort of stuff. So it takes a couple laps, a couple tries to figure it out. But yeah, I always like to try to learn as much as I can when I get behind people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
that being
feel
said,
like
I hate when people get behind me. I mean, you know as well as anyone else, I will pull off the track if you get behind me in practice or qualifying. That is like these are my lines. I've thought about this. You do not get to pick up on it for free.
dude, I love the mind games. Like we all kind of do that, where we have certain people that we're cool with doing it with and stuff. And it's either you're cool with it because you don't feel like that person's a threat to you, or you do it because you're like really tight with them. On RSR, I got to ride with Gage and Hoffman, and those two were notorious for never letting anyone follow them and stuff, but they would let me because I wasn't really a threat. And it was just really cool to be able to get those glimpses and ride with them because it's so rare. Like those guys would never put in a lap other than just one lap, you know? And then the
Mhm.
race would happen, they'd drop the hammer and they'd be gone. They'd do their thing. So, but then you don't really ever get to see them while they're doing that. You're back there floundering with the rest of everybody, you know?
Right.
So, but it's, yeah, it's very cool to see how much you've stepped up this past year and stuff. I do feel like you're one of those top guys now, you know?
No, thank you.
With
Well,
that
I
being
wish I
said,
could have done this sooner.
are you gonna print red backgrounds for me, you know, when I like beat you at round 2 and I like take the red plate, you know?
Yeah. Do you want me to bring him with me to Colorado? We could do that.
We got a double header, so if it does happen, like I mean, we only have like a 8-hour turnaround between races.
That might be tough, but we can figure it out.
Imagine it flip flops. Round 2, Butters goes up in points.
I mean, that's
Runs
gonna be a
red
hard one to
plate,
do it at
round
because
3, Nicky goes up in points.
CNS is not one of my favorite tracks. In Nick's race there, what, 4 times?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
I
next
like that
day,
track.
Erie, I'm really looking forward to Erie. That track's gonna be cool. We got 2 dirt sections. It's more of a 50% asphalt, 50% dirt layout, and a technical asphalt layout. And I'm really looking forward to round 3 of the AMA one at Erie. But round 2, I don't know.
Sounds tough. I think I've only ever been there once before. I've only done a couple motos there for some testing before a race at CNS, but I think I remember that I really liked that track. The dirt was pretty sandy and kind of difficult, but it was a fun mix up. It had really good asphalt with a lot of grip, I think, if I remember correct.
Yeah. No, that asphalt is pretty grippy. It's got some seams and stuff, so you can't necessarily run that like traditional line that you would hope for. That's that perfect road race line. That's not always achievable at that track, but that's every track. I feel like, whether it's a parking lot or the best track there is, like you're talking about, that fast line is a couple inches wide, and you're trying to figure out how you can carry the most momentum on that line that gets you as much momentum as possible.
All right.
The wild card for that round's gonna be Timmy V though.
Oh yeah, you and Timmy V. Did you guys kind of bury the beef?
I tried to, but I didn't hear back from him too much.
Yeah.
So maybe
He
I got
does
something coming for me.
Well, I mean, you guys race each
Awesome.
other at state line. I think if we all keep it clean, we'll all keep it clean, type thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at those leathers.
I hope so.
And
Yes,
speaking
sir.
about, dude, like, I don't know how many people, I mean, a lot of people that do these races know, but for people that don't know, you do most of the graphics for most of us Supermoto guys and a bunch of other cool people in the motocross industry and stuff through your buddy's company that you work for, Moto Cuts. Talk about like how cool it's been learning to just do that, like what you do on a day-to-day basis and do the graphic design and all that.
Yeah, I've always really loved graphic design. Looking back on it, I had my own fake little gear company when I was a kid. It was Nicky Reimer Designs. It was a little spoof on TLD, but I loved making like custom gear and custom helmets. So just like print off a template and just like draw stuff with colored pencils. Like I've loved this from day one. So it was a really cool opportunity for me to start working over at MotoCuts. I'm super picky about how things look. And my boss Todd was really cool about letting me just like have creative freedom. A lot of the stuff on our website is my designs. I design all my own graphics, and fortunately get to design a lot of stuff for my buddies too. So it worked out really well because Todd is a motocross racer, and so he knows how it is. Needing to miss work to go race. So it was never a sacrifice having to work a day and miss a race weekend or anything like that. So it was cool, and I got to learn a ton about the ins and the outs of the industry and what looks good and what sells well and all that sort of stuff. So I kind of took a little bit of that knowledge into manufacturing leathers. When I went over to Europe, I didn't really love anything on the market over there. And so I was able to kind of make some of my own stuff and go from there. I don't think I have anything. Oh, it is up. Cool. Yeah, so I got just my first couple of products up right there. Just starting to make leathers and gloves and doing a little bit that I can to help support my racing overseas. But the big thing is there's a huge lack of leathers in America. I think I'm one of the only guys wearing these things in Supermoto right now in the States. So it'd be cool to get more guys wearing stuff that they're comfortable with putting on. And we don't all want to be wearing fluorescent colors and jagged lines like some of the Euro styles are. So I'd like to incorporate some of what we think looks good with what's safe and what we can be comfortable racing in.
Have
Yeah,
you
for sure.
mocked up any other colors in that design?
I have different colors with this same layout, but I've done a ton of different ones actually. I've tried to make like as many base designs as I can right now. I just made a couple really cool sets for me and Bronson to race over here in the GPs. Oh, I think they might actually be on there. It's a set I did for Chad. These are Bronsons for the GPs right here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I have an identical set with my logos, and I think I use like tan instead of the fluorescent orange.
I like the red leg.
Yeah. Just going down. Those are ones I just did for Austin for Team Magnum.
Oh, I like that.
I got an identical.
Butt patch. Sweet.
That's been his little thing since we were kids. The Anarchy A in his name was pretty sick. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think it's just really just that new bike with Austin, or what do you attribute to him? Because what do you attribute to him being so much faster than he has been in the past? Like he's always been a technically solid rider, but he's just never had that pace that he had this past weekend or the past race at Horse Thief.
He seems really strong mentally. Like he's in it. I don't know what's changed so much. I've done quite a bit of riding with him in this off season, and just every time we're on the track, his pace is there, and he's just like pushing me. I'm doing an all pink set for sure. I love those things. But he's been pushing me around in practice days, and he's not afraid to throw a wheel in. He's not afraid for me to throw a wheel in on him. It's just like he's mentally just a rock. I mean, you put in a couple of passes on him in Horse Thief, and he didn't budge. He just pushed right on back and kept going with his race. So I don't know what he's figured out internally, but he's going to be a tough one to crack if I get behind him and I got to deal with him. But he's picked it up a lot for sure this year.
Yeah, because if last year you told me that Austin was going to beat Buffham at round one, I'd probably be like, "Oh, the Buffy fall" or something like that. But no, he was quite a bit faster, full second faster in lap times than Buffum was. So that's impressive.
No, I'm stoked for him. I think this podium's been a long time coming for him, and I'm stoked for him and proud to see him doing well. Also, I think it's huge for Magnum. In their first outing as a team, we got 2 podiums with our 2 riders, so I think they're really happy going into it too. I wonder if there's some incentive with Austin to be on the podium, but no, it was super cool. MagnumMotorsports.com. It might not be up yet. The dealership hasn't actually opened up yet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yes, this is their new dealership. It's the KTM franchise dealership, KTM Gas Husky. I think they might get WP in there too, but I'm not 100%
That's surprising.
Sure.
I feel like KTM doesn't usually like to have all their brands in one dealer. They usually like to kind of spread it out. So that's kind of cool to see it. You go to a dealer and have your option of any of them.
Yeah. So I got the opportunity to walk around their new dealership the other day, and it's a super cool place. It's like an old bowling alley, so it's huge inside, and they got a cool thing going in there. I'm hyped for them.
That's wicked.
Yeah, but I think they should open up in the next couple of weeks here. I know they've had some back and forth on when they're going to open, but I think the final opening should be here pretty soon. But yeah, they're a cool dealership based out of Laverne, California. I think it's in the greater LA area. And the Pecoraro family. Van Nuys, is it? Yeah, it is Van Nuys. What do I know? But yeah, they've been supporting Supermoto for a long time, so it's cool to see them with a new race team now and getting their name out there a little bit more.
Are we going to see you go to that SMEC round at US Air again this year, Nick? It's the weekend before the Sturgis AMA Supermoto round.
I haven't made a plan for that one yet, but it would be pretty cool. It's at that race in Shawano, right?
Yep.
I love that track. I would love to go back there, but I'm even more excited to go back to Road America in Wisconsin. I saw that one was on our schedule now, so that looks pretty cool. I'd like to make as many races as I can. I might go to that Quebec race if I can find someone to trailer my bike out there. This year's for me is just going to be all racing. So back and forth. After Colorado, I'm flying directly back to Germany, and then it's just going to be back and forth. So if it's a free weekend on the schedule, I'd love to do it. Would you know what weekend that is actually? The US Air race?
The US
August
Air
5th?
is August 5th.
I think August is pretty open, actually. The only thing it might conflict with is Quebec. You have the AMA schedule there?
Yeah, AMA, the Quebec one is the weekend after. So it'd be Wisconsin, then midweek at Sturgis, and then that weekend at Trois Rivières. Dude, I can't say it. Trois Rivières.
It's 3 rivers.
Dude, if you don't try to speak French up there, they do not like you just going up there and speaking English, not respecting their language.
Nope.
Which I get. Every time I tried, they at least were like, okay, he's trying. And then they'd speak English to you and be like, oh, sweet.
So are you going to be making all the S1 rounds? Is that the plan?
The plan is to do the full series this year. So we'll see going into the second half of the year if that's still an option. The first ones are pretty close. Busca is 3 hours from me. Sardinia is on an island off the coast, and then Germany I can make it to. Bulgaria is going to be hard because it's out of the European Union, and it's like a 20-hour drive.
Oh,
but I really want to do that. It is Pleven. I would love to do that race. And then after that is Spain, which is also pretty far.
Is
so
Spain,
those two,
is that a contradicting weekend with the AMA schedule?
I hope not. I thought they were all cleared up.
No, it's the weekend after that.
What weekend is Spain? The 17th, yeah.
Oh, they're doing Matei as a GP this year?
So I don't know how that's going to go. I asked around. I don't think anyone knows how that's going to go yet. because normally the way that they do Matet is they have a 400 rider class,
Yeah, and you
and
qualify
it's
down.
just like, yeah, it's multiple days of just like the top riders making it to the next level. And so the super final is just a bunch of guys that have qualified in, plus like in the prestige class, coming from, I think if you're in the top 3 in your country series, so AMA Supermoto got me a direct seat into the semifinal in the prestige class.
Okay.
And so it's a lot of guys that transfer in, and then a lot of Supermoto guys that have worked their way through the field. It's a pretty cool deal. So I don't know how they're going to do that, because I know it's only the top 32 with S1GP. So I don't know if they're going to have a separate Superbiker class and a separate S1GP class, but I'm excited to see how it all turns out.
Wow.
Yeah. And then after that, Castelletto is where we have Supermoto of Nations.
Yeah.
I'm in the works right now of putting together a team. It'd be super cool to have a Team USA out there, but as you guys know, there's a lot of stuff to figure out. Putting together a 3 or 4 rider team to go over there, but it would be cool to do it here because this is a home track. It's about an hour and 10 minutes away from me right now, and yeah, it would be awesome to do it. So I can help out with housing and bikes and all that stuff, and try to figure out how to make that happen, because it'd be cool to get more Americans over there. But
Yeah.
as you know, it's not something that you could just show up to a week before the race and expect to set the world on fire. It'd be something where you gotta figure it out for a long time before you can come over here and start busting ass against these guys, because that track is one of the OGs that they all know their shit when it comes to.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. That would be very cool to see America field a team, especially with the program you got going over there with Moz right now, and having good bikes behind you and being able to like put an effort forward that wouldn't be like we've done in the past where we show up with bikes unseen and really weird things. I think it'd be very cool to see.
Yeah, it would be cool because the TMs that we're on over here, they're all built by L30. They're all the factory bikes. It's the same ones that the front runners are using. It's no different from San Martin or Schmidt or Tom or anything like that. So it's a pretty cool deal. So I'd love to see some of our guys come over here and do well on them too.
Yeah. Very rad.
A cool thing that they have here that I think we need more of at home is Andriani is kind of like the standard suspension that everyone uses here. They're an Olin's suspension tech, but they have at like most major Supermoto events. Most of us use Race Tech in the US, but Andriani, they have a guy, actually the owner is out at the track, and you want to change your setup, just let them know, and you'll put in a different spring for you. You'll change your valving. You'll do whatever you want. So it's nice to be able to actually play around with setups more than just clicker adjustments during the day.
For sure. Yeah, to have someone there at the track, being able to watch your bike, that's like the best way to make adjustments for sure.
Yeah, they're giving feedback too on what they think you need. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
How cool is this, the magazine?
Yeah. Oh, did you see the sweet pictures? We got sweet merch, people. I got a hat. Very happy with it.
Oh, sick.
In the About Us section, we got sweet pictures of ourselves. Jeff's is hidden for some reason. All JP. We got Johnny Bang with Snapchat crying filters on. Wicked sweet picture of myself on my one wheel.
It's like you're wearing a suit.
And then Thimp and Thamp.
Nice. Expert stamp.
But yeah, it's definitely cool because, I know you've got to do work with Scott Hoffman, who used to own Supermoto Racer magazine back in the day. But you're young. How much did you have the magazines back in the day, or was that kind of different age range for you?
I had the magazines because I was on like 50s and 65s when that was getting big. Actually, in my first race, Scott did a full page of me in the SMR magazine. I still, to this day, think that's the coolest thing ever. Me on a little JR50 in my Hot Wheel boots.
Yeah.
I think it was at a national weekend in Fontana.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But I remember those magazines were
what
super
year
high
would
quality.
that have been?
I would have been 2004.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what's funny too with you, because like you started young. We've been in the sport for nearly the same amount of time, but I was 13 or whatever when I started, and you're 4. You know.
Yeah. I didn't really start to take it serious until like 2013. I think it was probably when I met you. But my first year running the national series, I think we had a 4-round series, and I remember going to Colorado, traveling for it for the first time. It was a really surreal experience, and like seeing how high the level was super cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're vets. We've been in it for a minute for sure.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to find
Do you
this
remember?
photo
Do you
I have it
remember
on my Instagram.
the first time we met? I kind of roughly remember, but I don't really remember talking to you. But we were at a OCGP in like 2012, I want to say, where they had that parking lot
Yes,
track at what was that, like a Power Sports Expo or something that was going on, like the Orange County Fairgrounds?
yeah, exactly. The Sand and Sea Expo.
Okay. And we had these like foam cowboy hats that we were like running around. We had pit bikes that weekend. We had like a pit bike race that didn't go off well. They had to pull us off the track because we were just like ignoring everyone and just ripping around. And
I do remember
then
that.
all of a sudden, like one of our foam cowboy hats is gone, and some kid that I don't even know is just walking around the pits in our foam cowboy hat. And it was you.
Oh, it's funny. I remember being at that race and just being so starstruck with like all these dudes that I've seen from the magazine, and like all the dudes that I've like grown up like looking up to, like finally being on the track with them at the same time was so rad. I remember getting smoked by you that weekend. You were the shit on 250s out there. I was so amped to just even line up against you guys. And then steal your hat too was pretty nice.
I gotta send this picture into the Discord chat so I can pull it up. This is too good.
Remember that pit bike race? My dad was so amped. He's like, Nick, we're going to build you an XR100. You're going to win this thing. I'm like, no, we'll just run what we got. And then we get out there, and it was such a clown show with everyone.
Yeah, they couldn't get us. They couldn't get us to stop. Around. They couldn't get us to stop for a start. We're just like, wow.
Yeah.
Let me pull up the Discord here.
Well, it's a treat.
Here we go. Look at little Nick, dude.
That's rad.
I never made it in the OG magazine, bro.
Rocking Skechers, dude.
Dude, they're Hot Wheel boots.
They let up?
They might have if I was going fast enough. I think they had a little speedometer on the ankle too.
Let's see.
Ripping.
The air holes there.
Dude, just a little Grom.
I think they were snow boots, I'm pretty sure.
But Gordo had you get it out all sweet, dude.
Yeah. Cycle Parts West, deal of the day. Best looking stuff out there. Yeah, I remember as a kid going in there looking through like the sale bins and just like Christmas. $10 jersey? Hell yeah. Dude, the kid did look pretty fire.
I wonder what year
and then also this would have been
that was the year I did
2004.
Funktown. Oh, okay, yeah, so I definitely wasn't there.
Yeah. And for check out the number 41 on there from day one. So when Mark Schmidt sees this and he tries to tell me he's the OG 41, I got proof that I was at first.
It's better than Pittman trying to tell me that he had rides to the 17 a couple years ago when he was trying to show me pictures of him racing quads, and I was like, bro. Don't give me that. Dude, I had that. So I had that same HJC, that same exact like colorway, except for blue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the standard helmet back in the day.
Yeah, like our parents didn't care if we got like gnarly concussions and died or something. I
don't know. Dude, that's crazy. Those the stickers on my front number plate were for I think we just got them from like a regular like parts store like Lowe's or something. I think they're for mailboxes. And then the ones on the side too, I have my name on the shroud. And it's just like whatever we could find at Lowe's that day. It's just like what went on the bike. It just says Nikki on the shroud, decked out.
You can kind of see it, I feel like.
Yeah. Lit kit.
All right, so I got a question that I want to ask all you guys. And we can go with whoever first, but what's your favorite part about Supermoto?
Who wants to go first?
Nick doesn't want.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think like how gnarly it feels, at least at first. You know, being an amateur, like riding dirt bikes is pretty gnarly, but having complete traction, going as fast as that 450 will let you, and braking as hard as possible is pretty cool. And to mix that in with like being on slicks on like packed dirt, or there's no traction, you know, kind of.
Yeah, it's a feeling.
It just feels
good
gnarly.
feeling.
It's safer than it looks, but it just feels gnarly.
I really love the uniqueness of Supermoto. I think it's really cool that everything that you learn in every different aspect of racing can be applied to it. I spent a lot of time when I was a kid riding flat track and speedway, and I find myself kind of just using some of that in like the flat, hard pack corners. And the more motocross you ride, the more of a feel you get for your bike moving around underneath you. Road racing obviously affects hugely your lines and your asphalt speed. And it's just like everything that you do outside of Supermoto applies to it. And then Supermoto also applies so much to, motocross, road racing, speedway, everything else that you do too. So I think it really bridges a gap between everything. And it's a really cool sport where you can include pros from every different discipline. I mean, we've seen guys like Dallas Daniels come out. We saw Johnny Lewis come out. I think Fever races sometimes in Europe. Like,
Yeah.
everyone can be included into this sport, and I think it's a really cool kind of just even ground for everyone to battle it out.
Yeah, that's such a great point because it really is. And even when I was looking up the other day, when I was looking up who the road race guys were that road race or that didn't road race and they raced the Supermoto with us past weekend, Bryce Prince, Jason Rodriguez, and Hodges. They're all pretty bad dudes on road race bikes, from what it seems like. Prince is I think 2016 AMA Super Stock champion, and I was looking at AFM because I think they're all racing AFM right now. And but just the Supermoto names you see that have lap records and stuff. You got Ezra Boubier, you got Andrew Lee, you got Chris Fillmore, you got Tyler O'Hara, you got Jason Uribe, you got Andy DeBrino, Cam Peterson, Joey Pascarella. That Ben Hodges that raced with us. Looks like he's got some lap records in here.
Oh, well.
But it's cool to see because, like you're talking about, Supermoto does cross over, especially the flat track and road race. It seems like motocross is definitely a bit of its own animal. I always kind of hold those guys in my own head as being the top of the tier.
Yeah, for sure. But it is it's a cool even ground where even we get to see them come out and bang bars for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not always immediately fast right off the bat. We saw Blake Wharton take a swing at it, and he wasn't winning right off the bat. He was fast and naturally talented, but he wasn't a front runner.
Yeah, he was unbelievable in the dirt section.
Yeah, he was very fast. And even Roman Fever, when he raced Matet a couple years ago, he still got beat by Mark Schmidt. I think Tom also beat him too. So it's no special privileges coming from those guys who are just being immediately at the top. We have our own field of racers that really do well in our own aspects.
Yeah. Oh, shitty Shane Narbonne.
Are we still recording for the stream?
Pretty much just bullshit. I think Craig's still recording us. He's always listening to us too.
Damn,
That
Craig.
that kid, I think Tyler Phelps or something like that on the Cowie. I was so pissed off at him that lap. And back a couple of photos.
Oh,
This was like the first lap of qualifying. I went out on a sight lap. And
No.
and then he's like pressuring me on my sight lap, so I let him by. And then
He was
cruised
quick.
lap 2. Yeah, but he cruised lap 2 right in front of me, and I'm screaming at this kid on a flyer. He's just like putting around in the middle of the track. I'm like, bro, what the fuck are you doing?
I like Buff Daddy's focus.
So he's ready to kill.
He looks a little soft in the rear there. It looks like a little squatted. You got that nice tire flex.
All right, boys. I gotta hop off here. I gotta go pack a bag right now and get ready to go to a race.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for coming on and doing this with us, Nick.
Yeah, thank
No
you.
worries, boys. Thanks for
plenty
having
of-
me. This is fun.
Plenty of good content to use.
Good talking
Cool.
to you. Good luck at the races, homie.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks,
good luck.
brother.
Talk to you next time.
Peace.
Bye.
Bridgestone's reintroducing their Supermoto tires here in the United States and Canada. That's the BMO1 front and the RO2 rear. It's available in a 16.5 inch as well as a 17 inch configuration. The Racing Battle Axe is a non-DOT tire, and we definitely recommend tire warmer. Time's the only thing in life that money can't buy, but you can buy Bridgestones.